Alright, so it's really hard to stand out with mousepads right now, which makes what Lethal Gaming Gear is doing so special. They aren't using any fancy colorful designs, but instead nicely crafted design that's actually been tested and proven by gamers. You can tell they really put a lot of thought into their pads. You truly do not get the hype until you try one out for yourself. I covered the Saturn before and I called it the mousepad of 2021. Well, it seems as if Lethal Gaming Gear wants to outdo themselves with the release of their Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter pads now hitting Earth. So today I want to look at their 3 other mousepads and see if they are true replacements for Artisan mousepads. That $1 million question that we always have to ask when a new mousepad comes out. Now they come in XL, which is what I have on hand here with the dimensions of 490 by 410 by 4 millimeters. This is what most people will be going for unless you really like having a desk mat. In that case, they offer 2 bigger sizes, the double and triple XL. The XL starts at $30 while the double and triple XL are $50 and $60 respectively. The pricing on these is pretty standard, even being better than some of the competitors in the space like the highly popular GSR SE that comes in at $35 and the Artisan pads that can cost upwards of $50 to $65 for the same size. I gotta give them props on this base. It does a really good job of staying in place. I didn't really talk about that on the Saturn video, but these really do have a nice base on them. I never really feel the mouse pad sliding or moving under me while I'm gaming. The one con of these pads though is the stitched edges. While they are comfortable for your arm, I have noticed on all the pads there's a little bit of fraying along the edges, and even on my Jupiter there's some messed up fraying on there from being in the box. It's not extreme, but I do want to mention that in case they are looking to improve on these pads in the future. Now all these mouse pads are made out of polyester, but then your next question might be, well, what's the difference? Well, each mouse pad is weaved slightly different, giving each mouse pad its own unique properties. Now the first mouse pad I want to look at is the Venus. It's a hybrid speed pad. Right off the bat, it was love at first flick with this mouse pad. This is one of the best hybrid pads I've ever used. It's up there with the Artisan Heian. It's got a light textured polyester top that gives you a similar glide to the Artisan Heian while not being as rough as that mouse pad. The texture also helps with the stopping power of this mouse pad as well. It's like if the Aqua Control Plus and the Heian had a baby, it would be this mouse pad. Now I've been putting some hours in on this pad and it feels brand new. It also does a really good job of staving off humidity and sweat. I've never felt my arm sticking to this mouse pad after extended use, which I really like. Micro adjustments are so good on this pad. I don't find myself overshooting and missing my targets very often with this pad. Overall, this is a great mouse pad for everything from fast-paced shooters like Call of Duty and Halo, for its gliding properties for that tracking ability, to tactile click timing accuracy games like CSGO and Valorant because of the amazing stopping power that you get with this mouse pad. Overall, if you're looking for a step up in speed from the Saturn, this is the one to go to in my opinion. Now next up we have another hybrid speed pad, the Mercury. To me it's around the same speed as the Venus, maybe slightly lower dynamic friction. It's very close, too close in my opinion. I would have loved to seen them do a higher speed pad like a Raiden or a Shinnenkai here instead of the Mercury. This one kind of seems redundant. Both this and the Venus are slower than the Heian. The texture is also more rough and not as comfortable as the Venus, so again I choose the Venus over this pad. It gets a similar recommendation for gaming. I'd say if you really suck at tracking, I'd go with this one over the Venus, but then again, there's something about the Venus that I just like more than this pad. It just comes down to if you like the added roughness that this mouse pad brings to your arm. Now I don't want to act like a rough texture doesn't have its place amongst aimers, as a rough texture can actually give more control to an arm aimer. But that being said, I wasn't convinced that it made enough difference to switch off the Venus. If you're a wrist aimer, I definitely go with the Venus. If you're an arm aimer, you could go with the Mercury. I'm a combination of both, so I like the Venus. Now the Mercury, because of this, works really good for track heavy games like Apex, Call of Duty, and Halo. But I found myself overshooting in games like Valorant. Alright, so next up is Lethal Gaming Gear's control pad, named after the intense gravitational pull of Jupiter. If you like mud, scratch that. If you like wet cement, this mouse pad is for you. This is accuracy at its finest. The surface is very slick and it has this glossy nature to it, similar to the X-ray pad Thor, but this one doesn't actually have a coating on it, so it should last you longer than the Thor. Now what stands out most to me about this pad is that they actually managed to keep most of the control on the mouse and not on your arm because of that slick nature of the pad. So gliding and arm aiming, if you just want a free-flowing arm and you are an arm aimer, this is the one to go with. Normally with control pads, you get a little tugging on your arm, kind of like with the Mercury, which adds a little bit of control. Now this does have a very wet kind of coating like feature to it, but it's still polyester. It's a little distracting at first, but once you get used to it, it's like your arm is on a slip and slide, and it just feels great when you're trying to make those huge swipes on your pad. Wrist aimers will also get the benefit from this because, like I said, most of that control is happening near the mouse. Now, the one downside to this mouse pad, while it makes you super accurate, that high dynamic friction and static friction makes it very tough. So if somebody strafes just a little bit, it can be very hard to readjust without over adjusting because of the force necessary to move the mouse. In short, the static friction is just crazy high, as well as the dynamic friction. So if you're somebody that presses hard into your mouse pad, this Jupiter is gonna cause you some issues, let me tell you. So you really have to be an accurate person with this mouse pad and hold your mouse pad lightly. It's not kind to people who flick and do a slight adjustment, kind of like myself, but it lends itself to more of those flickers who are very confident that they're gonna hit their first bullet. Tracking is also pretty weak on this because of the high dynamic friction and static friction. I'd only be using this pad for a CSGO or Valorant type game. It's a fun pad for sure. I definitely want to put some more hours in on it to try to master this pad because the accuracy benefits could be tremendous if I do. But be warned, if you are going for this pad, if you like mud pads, this is probably one of the slowest pads I've ever tested, and definitely slower than anything Artisan offers. What I like about what Lethal Gaming Gear is doing with these 3 mouse pads and the 4 with the Saturn is that they're providing solid Artisan options at a fraction of the cost. These don't feel like a true replacement though. I say they're more of an extension of Artisan. Like if Artisan were to come out with a budget line of mouse pads, this would be it. I don't think anybody would bat an eye if Artisan were to drop these pads. The speed differs from what Artisan has put out, and they have more interesting options like a true control pad here in the Jupiter, which is quite a bit slower than the slowest Artisan pad. My favorite out of this bunch would be the Venus and the Jupiter. The Mercury was a decent pad, but the Venus mouse pad will be better for most unless you like that grippy arm aim style of mouse pad. Now at the end of the day, the Saturn still reigns supreme for me. So if you already have a Saturn, the next one I go to is the Venus, then the Jupiter, then hop on over to Mercury. All right, that should be your last stop in my opinion. But these are all fun mouse pads to try out. It really had me geeking out over them because, you know, it's kind of hard to get excited over mouse pads, and these made me excited. I was excited to make this video. So that should tell you something about these mouse pads. All right, guys, it has been your boy BT. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.